Vocus can be your independent penetration tester, your independent cybersecurity auditor. We're an independent third party, just like everybody else. But what does that mean, independence? Hey, this is Matt Strawn from Vocus, and I'd like to talk a bit about independence. Get it? Because it's independent? Never mind. Let's talk about independence. Wherever you look, you see organizations that say, we do independent penetration testing. But what does that mean? It must be important. Otherwise, organizations won't be marketing it, customers won't be demanding it, and certifications won't be requiring it. You would expect there would be reams of paper saying this is specifically what we do to be independent. And yet when I looked around, I found nothing. Instead, I saw so-called full-stack security companies saying we'll do the implementation, we'll do the monitoring, we'll do the integration, and then we'll test and audit all of your stuff. And yet independence is important. Imagine you'd developed a system and it'd been a year in production, and then you're asked to audit it. You find a vulnerability, and this vulnerability puts customers' finances, puts customers' health, puts customers' privacy at risk. Would you fix it? Would you tell everyone about this vulnerability? Or would you potentially look the other way and hope that nothing happens? Independence isn't about which of those choices you would make. Independence is about having to make that choice in the first place. Someone who is properly independent would have no scope for conflict of interest because they'll have no personal risk or reward in doing the right thing. At Vocus, we're trying to be better. So despite being a small, fledgling, young security company, we've put together what we believe could actually be the first independence policy for a cybersecurity organization. We've taken ideas from healthcare, from finance, from governments, and applied them to cybersecurity to see what independence means for us. When doing this last year, for one of our presentation days, my presentation was pretty simple. I got scenarios to say, is this independent? Does this maintain independence? And people would discuss them. It started off pretty simple. The auditor is auditing their own work. Now, obviously, that's Independence 101. An auditor isn't supposed to audit their own work. So that's pretty easy. But things got a bit interesting when it came to those grey areas of independence. For example, what if the auditor's company has sold the security products that is protecting the system that is being audited? For instance, the auditor's company sold the firewall that was restricting the traffic to that system. Or the auditor's company sold the endpoint protection software and integrated it that is now installed on the systems that are being tested. Does that violate independence? At Vocus, when doing the independence policy, we banned that. However, I can kind of see other organizations making different choices there and having justification for those choices. In the end, that's about transparency. It got even more interesting with one of the other scenarios. Let's say vulnerabilities are fixed during the engagement window based on recommendations from the penetration tester. Does that violate independence? If you look at our penetration testing engagement guide, which you absolutely should, by the way, it's available online in our handbook at handbook.vocus.com.au. If you look at that guide, you'll see that it recommends that auditors should have good communication, should tell the details about the vulnerabilities straight away to their clients. And if they're fixed, should retest them during the engagement window and make sure the fixes have stuck. And yet, although the penetration testers in the room were saying, yes, that's what you should do, the people who weren't penetration testers were saying, no, that's a violation of independence. They were adamant that that would break independence. We ended up allowing that in our independence policy and keeping that in our penetration testing engagement guide. But I'll be interested to hear other people's thoughts. Does that violate independence? You can check out our policy at handbook.vocus.com.au. You can also check out our blog post linked below that explains our considerations that we had when making our policy. Otherwise, feel free to give us feedback at the comment below or email info@vocus.com.au with any feedback or suggestions. If you're feeling a bit courageous, you can even make a Git merge request straight into our handbook and see if that makes it in. We're going to be trying to do more videos like this, so subscribe and maybe you'll get some information that will make your job easier. Otherwise, good luck for the future.